All right, we're going to call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Present are council members Floyd, Cost, Bub, and Marmee. First item on the agenda is a request for legislation, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Newark to prepare and submit applications to the Department of Homeland Security for fiscal year 2016 Fire Act grant programs in support of training programs, equipment purchases, funding for personnel, fire prevention, and fire safety programs throughout the city.
This legislation covers the 3 fire grant programs that are offered by FEMA that we plan to apply for in 2016 and 17.
Make a motion.
Motion by Floyd, second by Cost. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a request for an appropriation. And let's get to that page. For the total amount of $3,300.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. We've had a member in the Division of Police retiring. These are their earned accruals, and if you would, as a courtesy, we ask you expedite the matter, please.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bub, second by Floyd. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes 4-0. Next item on the agenda is another one for $2,600.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is a member in the Division of Fire, and again, these are their earned accruals, and if you would, as a courtesy, we ask they expedite, please.
Motion.
Motion by Floyd, second by Bub. Further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
4-0. Thank you, Director. Next item on the agenda is another one for the termination in the total amount of $31,800.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for Phil Rhodes, bailiff, longtime bailiff for Judge Higgins. These are just earned accruals, and again, as a courtesy, we would ask you to expedite those.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bub, second by Floyd. Appreciate you coming in. He said he wouldn't be here. It's his anniversary, is it not? Or he's on vacation somewhere?
I think it is his anniversary, yeah.
He said he couldn't change his vacation.
No, I wouldn't change that either.
Yeah. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion passes 4-0. Next item is another one for the amount of $6,550.
Mr. Chair, again, this is earned accruals for small claims court administrator Deborah Craning, who's retiring. And again, as a courtesy, we just ask that it be expedited.
Motion.
Motion by Floyd, second by Bub. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is another one in the amount of $6,908.36.
Good evening. This is an appropriation for Margaret Crothers that retired from our office.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bub, second by Floyd. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is the same thing in the amount of $41,200.
Mr. Chair, this is a member Division of Police, and again, we ask that you expedite the accrual.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bob, second by Floyd. Questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $6,000.
Good evening. The Jet Z2 that we collect taxes for requires quarterly distribution rather than annual, and this is coming from the intra-government fund so that I can send them their checks for the first and second quarter of 2016.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bub, second by Floyd. Further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, a small little appropriation in the amount of $2,700,000.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. This is for our health insurance fund, account 756. It's an appropriation of an unappropriated balance. It's accounting type stuff, which I get in trouble with pretty quick, trying to explain how that works. But basically, we had a huge number of bills at the start of the year, which you all know. And through accounting, if the bill starts out $500,000 and ends up we got to pay $125,000, they still got to show the 5, and that gets it up toward this. Then as a result, we've had several accounts go over $100,000, so that we have additional insurance that reimburses us. That can't just go back in the fund like you think it would. It has to go back over here to the health insurance fund. Then we also get discounts on pharmacy and those sort of things. So that's where it builds up. So it's almost like a journal entry, if you will. But
Yeah. The way it was explained to me is basically, in our budget, we didn't have any idea what these reimbursables were going to be. So we put in $100,000. These reimbursements are just discounts, like he just said. It ends up that currently, for half a year, we have $1.35 million. And so she's just estimated for the second half is going to be the same amount. So she's making that dollar amount $2.7 million. And it does not mean that we save that money. It just means that that has to go through one fund and through another to make our final overall health insurance cost the number that it needs to be. Okay, so.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Floyd, second by Bub. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $35,642.
Good evening. This is in reference to one of our long-time grants, our jail diversion grant. The total has been $123,234 for several years. It increased to $187,965 for fiscal year 17. This is the first year of the increase. We do an estimated revenue to the auditor's office usually in September of the prior year, so we did one September of 2015. We used the 123,234 because we didn't know what the new total was going to be. So we received the total after that. So we shouldn't have to do this in years to come. It's just should be a one-time thing where we have to come and appropriate at this time. So, but the reason is because the grant is increased by $65,000.
Sure. Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bub, second by Floyd. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Noting for the record that Mr. Frazier is also present.
Here.
Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation amount of $75,000.
This appropriation is for our CDBG revolving loan fund. It's money that we've received this year that we want to spend out for additional minor home repair projects.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Floyd, second by Bub. And I'm assuming the $40,000 On the next disappropriation,
Yep.
or appropriation is also in conjunction with this. You want to just talk about both of them?
Yeah, that's fine. The other one, it's the same thing, money we've received in, but it's for our home RLF fund.
Okay.
So we'll spend it out for either full rehab projects or habitat new builds.
Okay. So the first one is for $75,000. We've got a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes 5-0. And now the $40,000 one.
Make a motion.
Motion by Floyd, second by Frazier. Any questions or discussions on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. And with that,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
can I say something?
Sure, certainly.
I would just like to ask anybody who's interested, we got an email this afternoon from Autumn about Pat and Kelly Connor. I think you know they were in a motorcycle accident. She thought they would be home by tonight, and several people wanted to know if they wanted to do anything about it. If anybody wants to give me $5 or something, I thought maybe, we were talking before the meeting and thought maybe instead of flowers, it might be nice to have some money to have some food brought in or something once they're home, because they're not going to feel like doing much, I would think, for a few days. So if anybody, or those of you who work in the building and want to give some to Autumn tomorrow, if you could do that, okay?
Very
Is that okay? Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, this meeting stands adjourned. Next up is service.
All right, we'll call the Service Committee meeting to order. Those present are myself, Rath, Cost, Bud, Frazier, and Floyd. Excuse me. Up first, consider resolution number 16-69, authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service of Newark City, of the City of Newark, Ohio, to advertise for bids and enter into contract for polymer for use in wastewater treatment process. I assume Mr. Loomis is going to be talking about that.
Yeah, this is just a bid we do every 5 years for polymer. We use polymer for our dewatering processes for biosolids and operations at the plant. We need this authorization so we can do the bid evaluations and accept the bids. So,
Make a motion. Motion by Bub, seconded by Cost. Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0. Thank you, sir. Up next. Is 1670.
I don't know what the number is.
16. Okay. I'm sorry, my paperwork is getting discombobulated up here. Up next is resolution number 16-70, authorizing the Director of Public Service to prepare and submit applications to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvements Program and to execute contracts as required. Mr. Moorhead.
Yes, sir. This is an annual event, it seems, for us. The Ohio Public Works Commission has the State Capital Improvements Program, grant and loan program available every year, and would like to apply for another project this year. We've been successful every other year with that, and this year we're looking at a project that will do street rehabilitation and resurfacing within Newark. We are currently assembling those street names and cutting the list down. So although we're not final yet, it will be more of the major streets in town as opposed to the smaller residential streets, because those streets with a higher traffic count get a higher priority ranking in this grant application. So anyhow, we are aiming at a project in the range of about $500,000 to $600,000. So your approval of this application would be tremendous.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Floyd, seconded by Bub. You said grants and/or loans.
Correct.
Which, are we doing grants, are we doing loans, or are we doing grants and/or loans?
When I get the list all together and kind of see where we're at, we have been open to, sometimes there's we've been open to both grant and loan. The loans are 0% interest, which is a nice feature. Sometimes throughout the evaluation process, we've been asked to cut our grant amount down and take a loan instead for a couple of years, and we have done that, trying to be flexible with in the selection process. So we're open to both of those. We typically want more grant money than loan money, though.
Sure. So the way I understand it is kind of what you're saying is we've done this often enough and well enough that we're in favor with them that they tell us what we need to do to get what we need.
The county engineer basically has reviews the applications within our county and sort of coordinates those. There's somewhat of a dollar figure that he has to work with in the county, and he tries to divvy the funds up accordingly. So, yeah, we've been flexible and worked together with them.
Mr. Chair. What's the time frame? What's the time frame for submitting the application, getting a response? How does that go into the budget?
We submit the application in October, first week of October. We find out in July 1st, 2017. We actually find out if we're successful probably in about April of 2017, and then the paperwork comes to us on July, the first week of July in 2017, and at that point, then we can award a contract for the work. So, as far as the budget goes, we will put a placeholder in the 2017 budget, anticipating that we would get this, as we've done in the other years.
And so the project would still be executed in 2017?
Yes.
Any other questions for the committee? Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Great, thank you.
Up next is Resolution 16-71, authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service to advertise for bids and enter into contracts subject to the appropriation of funds for various construction projects.
Yes, we've got 4 projects. Would like to have the approval to bid. The first project is 2016 street maintenance project. You recall you've just approved about $380,000 within the last couple of months for street maintenance. So we're in the process of putting that project together. Like to get that out to bid. Most likely at this late date, the construction of this would not happen until spring and early summer of next year, 2017. Second project is a concrete maintenance project where we would replace some ADA curb ramps at intersections of streets that will be getting paved. The third project is Sharon Valley Road, Evans Boulevard Roundabout project, which is this year's approved state capital improvements program. We will be working on the design of that and be ready to go to bids in spring of next year for that project. And then the fourth project, full disclosure, we've actually bid that one out. Mistakenly, we thought we had approval to bid it prior to the bidding, but going back and reading that piece of legislation, it didn't actually give specific approval of that, so kind of asking retroactively for that. We are planning on awarding the project tomorrow at a Board of Control meeting. So if there's any disapproval of this tonight, then we would hold up on the approval of that. So.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Floyd, seconded by Bub. see any problems here, but, I mean, I can't speak for full council. Any questions from anybody, any committee?
Don't mind. So for these 4 projects, the first one, are you still trying to execute in 2016 or?
We'll open bids this year, but as I said, we'll put a completion date of next year on it. The whole, in my discussion with some of the paving contractors, they're totally booked up already for this year, and to impose a completion date of this year, our bid prices will be astronomical. So.
And is it the same for the other 3 on there that they're expected to be completed next year?
Yes, actually, 2017 for completion on all. Well, actually, the Log Pond Run diversion channel will be completed in November of this year.
Okay.
Brian, the West Main project, just to jump topics a little bit, but while I've got you here, the West Main project is the completion of that further west towards the hospital?
Yes.
The 34th, is that going to be done this year?
The section from 30th Street west to 34th Street will not be done this year. It'll be next spring to finish that portion. We are trying to get the portion that we're working on now from 29th Street west to 21st on the south side, and then circle back and then do the north side and get that all done this construction season though. So the project will carry over into next year to do the western section then.
Good. Any other questions from committee members?
For the Sharon Valley Road project,
yes.
What is the traffic pattern going to look like for those people that traditionally use that during construction? Do you know the answer to that?
During construction?
Yeah, how are you, what's the detour going to look like for that construction? Are you?
I don't know. We haven't laid that out, but probably they'll need to use Granville Road instead of Sharon Valley Road, because to build that roundabout, the road will basically be closed down right there for.
So basically, dead end on either side of it where the construction is, and
yeah,
just divert traffic.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't be able to have through traffic when the roundabout's being constructed.
I just know that there's a road right there too through the college side.
Yes, and we're working with them on that also.
Okay.
So they're in favor of the project and have been real cooperative.
Any other questions from committee members? Any questions from anybody in the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. That passes 5-0.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moorhead. Service committee is adjourned. Up next will be personnel.
Okay, it's 5:55. We'll call this Personnel Committee meeting to order.
Now you have 30 questions.
Doug Marmee. Doug, you want to come on up? Those present are myself, Doug Marmee, Curtis Johnson, Alex Roletta, D. Hall. Purpose of tonight's discussion is Ordinance 16-32, an ordinance amending the position classification, pay range, and position authorization tables of the Department of Public Service, Division of Street Maintenance and Traffic Control by creating 2 traffic street worker positions. And to speak to that tonight is Service Director David Rhodes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've analyzed the makeup of the street and traffic department, and we recently had 1 traffic personnel retire and 1 traffic transfer to the, I believe it was the water wastewater department. After looking at the makeup of having four full-time traffic technicians, it's our opinion that we would rather hire 2 additional personnel, but they'd be able to work in both areas, both street and traffic. At times, there's not enough work in the traffic department for 4 personnel. So that's why we're asking for an authorization of 2. You'll notice I didn't ask to abolish any positions. You know, at some point, if we have some additional money, we might fill some more positions.
Okay. In discussion from the committee, any questions or concerns from the Service Director? Motion.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the table by Alex Roletta, a second by Curtis Johnson. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? See none, all those in favor of moving this on to full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Best wishes with that.
Thank you.
With that, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.